Franklin County Commissioners meeting, April 12, 2017.
Good morning. It is 9 a.m. and we're here for our regular Wednesday board meeting, April 22nd. And if everybody would stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have just two board members this morning, myself and Commissioner Miller, and Commissioner Peck is out on business. So with that, we have the first thing on the agenda is approving the new salary schedule for the sheriff. So Keith, you want to help up here, or are you going to do it?
I can get started. If the sheriff wants to add comments, or if you have questions, I'm sure he'd be happy to address those. Both of the next two agenda items are kind of part of all the same discussion that we've had in prior meetings regarding compression issue with the sheriff's compensation as it relates to law enforcement officers in his department. We prepared a resolution for your consideration that would establish the sheriff's compensation at 10% above the undersheriff. The undersheriff would remain on the salary matrix. This would take the sheriff off of that matrix. And then as long as the undersheriff remains on the matrix, this would set that 10% compression rate for the sheriff. If at some point in the future the board were to change the compensation within the matrix, obviously that would have the same effect on the sheriff's compensation because it ties it to that, but it takes the sheriff off of that individual matrix. Commissioner Miller, I believe last week, spoke very briefly to this request for the board, and so it's before you for your consideration. We'll be happy to address any questions that you may have.
So what this does is it continues to keep where the undersheriff is 10% higher, but if we reclassify, because right now the undersheriff is at his limit, so nothing's going to change. Is that correct?
Is the undersheriff at step
Top
7?
Yes.
So with that, we can't go anywhere. We reclassify. What this does is protect that reclassification so that the undersheriff can catch up or be ahead.
Well, currently, if nothing changes, then you had a situation where
It's just changed, just as it is.
the undersheriff could and others could potentially pass the sheriff, because the sheriff had been treated with the other elected officials in his compensation. This changes that so that it allows that difference to always be in place between the sheriff and those who report to him.
In other words, with the undersheriff being at a step 7, he's on the top of it, so the only change that will ever come about is COLAs.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
Correct.
Okay.
Do I get a yes or no?
Unless there was a reclassification done that changed.
Exactly, but I mean, at status quo right now with the undersheriff being in a step 7, it stays there until, like I say, reclass or COLAs.
That is correct.
A couple of things. I see this as keeping this clean, because if not, it's going to catch up with us one of these times. We're going to have to fix it eventually. But the other thing is, and I do want to say that I believe the sheriff's position is 24/7. And just a good example was a meeting last night at 7:30. Sheriff had to take off. And, so these things happen. And commissioners and others may have calls and stuff, but generally it's not as serious as jail problems, deaths, or anything like that in the jail or out there, or murder, or anything that requires a sheriff to be involved with. So I think this is probably something that saves trouble in the later years. So I would like to go ahead and make that motion.
Yeah. I'll second it.
Okay, you just want to take the motion as written. It's placing the sheriff 10% above grade S20, step 7, under sheriff of the non-sheriff's non-bargaining salary matrix. Okay. So,
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
aye.
The second issue, Keith?
Yeah, the second issue came as a request from Commissioner Peck to remove the other elected officials from a salary matrix after, not to recover a lot of discussion we've had in the past about how we address compensation for the other elected officials. When I say the other elected officials, I'm not referring to the commissioners, nor the judges, nor the prosecutor. It would just be those other executive branch elected officials that are specifically listed in the resolution. This does not change their current compensation for 2017, and it does include the already pre-approved amount for 2018. We would then come back at the prior to the time of filing for the election period that begins January 1st of 2019, and set salaries for those elected positions at that time, so that anybody filing for those positions would know well in advance what the compensation would be for those positions. So it's the 7 positions that are currently on matrix. We're taking those off the matrix and separately establishing their current and then their 2018 salaries by those 2 resolutions that are before you.
Okay. Trying to see what the motion is here. It's rescinding them. I'll move that we rescind Resolution 2001-686, removing elected officials from salary matrix, setting compensation for elected officials, auditor, assessor, clerk, coroner, and treasurer as determined by the county commissioners.
Is that both, is there another one to follow, or?
Well, that's 2 of them there too, the rescinding and the setting the compensation.
Okay.
That motion was 1. We can do them separate.
Yeah, no, I just was,
Okay,
I didn't
yeah.
hear it was.
Yeah.
Well, Resolution 2017-96 and 97. Have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Time in the meeting for public comment. Any comments? Seeing none, we will move on to voucher approvals.
Okay, we have, looks like 2 vouchers. One of them is for the fund expenditures, and the bottom line is $183,570.34. And it's been checked by Jeff Burkhart, County Administrator, and also Macy Stein, so we have it checked well. And it'll be motion.
Okay, I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I have a second voucher, and this is for county roads and motor vehicle funds. There's 2 different. County roads has 1 that's upset, and motor vehicles has 2. But this, the total of all payments is $100,053.16.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I get that one.
Yeah, I got that one. With that, moving on to the consent agenda.
Okay, look here for a second approval. Okay, and there's one or two of them here on rescinding the firearms penalty, and then another one on weapons, and basically that's because the state law has changed. We have to abide by that, because if we didn't, it would override us.
Well, yes, state law would prevail, and this more or less an administrative change to comport the local ordinances with state law, kind of clean up language that provides clarity to law enforcement and to prosecutorial and defense panels on charging questions to make sure that we're in compliance with state law.
Yes, and I see the one is because it's rescinding the old motion we had, but it's about taking guns to dances or anything out in the county.
Correct.
Having guns correct with it, and the state law says we can't do that. So if we didn't abide by it, there could be some lawsuit problems and things could happen.
Creates confusion.
Yep.
Does it?
Okay. Okay. Well, with that, we have three. We have a resolution, 2 ordinances, and then we have the 3 commissioner meetings, total of 1 through 6. So I will ask for approval of 1 through 6 on the consent agenda.
I would second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. You okay? Carry on into your agenda, Keith, please.
Okay. First item I'd like to ask the board to consider is providing additional staff for county administrator's office. We have a number of functions that Karen and Sherry are expected to do, and we found that it's very burdensome on them to try to get all of that done within the regular office hours allotted for their positions without working a lot of comp time and overtime to stay current. We even have quite a few things that we would like to get done, that we think need to be done, that are not, we just don't have the time to do. As an example, we have a number of file cabinets with old files in them that need to be purged and either sent to archivists or permanent storage of some kind, or destroyed as in accordance with the Public Records Act. That in essence would provide liability to us. If we have those records, we're obligated to provide them. But if we have met the requirements of the statutes and no longer required to keep them, we don't have the ability to retain forever, nor the space to retain forever some of those files. And that's just an example of some of the work that we know we need to get done, but haven't had the time to do it. In particular, concern right now is the upcoming hearings for the Board of Equalization. We had a fairly high number of hearings last year, which was unusual. That put an enormous burden on Karen to keep up their duties as clerk of the board, as well as serve as clerk to the Board of Examiners, or excuse me, Board of Equalization. And so we're requesting that additional help to kind of reduce some of that burden on our existing staff. We've noted historically that there were additional people in the department, and due to the budget cuts back in 2007, some of those positions were eliminated, and a conscious decision was made that we just didn't have the financial resources to keep those positions. I'm, from a personal standpoint, don't like the idea necessarily of adding people to our office. I know that there are other offices that struggle with some of the same issues from time to time. But in an effort to make sure that we're in compliance with things like the Public Records Act, meeting the needs of our citizens with the Board of Equalization and other important issues, we felt it was necessary to make this request to the board. So ask you to approve that new position.
When you and I first started visiting about this, you were thinking of a half-time, just to fill in, to help clean up, and suggested that time. We've been talking for the last 2 or 3 years about a public records officer or a maintenance person of some sort to, so kind of turned into a full-time with that in mind. And
yeah.
So I can support it.
Okay, so this is a permanent full-time position.
Yeah.
And so is this work able to be caught up that we can hire either a part-time or a just temporary?
No, it's a combination of two things. One of freeing up Karen and Sherry's time to do some things that they aren't currently able to do, but also add to them some of the responsibilities that exist in the office that we need to have done. We had anticipated when we first created our own Office of Public Defense to be able to have the administrative person in OPD spend almost part-time doing some of this work. But over the course of time, we realized that the requirements of the OPD office have pretty much occupied her full-time. And so we're not getting the available part-time help that we would really like to have as a result of that. And so we've been kind of limping along. And all three of these ladies have been great to step in. They've been willing to work overtime, nights and weekends, whatever it takes to get the work done. But it's creating kind of an unfairness on them to expect them to continue to do that. And yet we still have things that need to be done that aren't getting done. So our conclusion was that we recommend a full-time person for the office.
Okay.
You have a resolution?
Yeah, let's
Oh,
see one
yes,
here.
I'm sorry.
It's pretty low rating. The cost is low, so it's the bottom step of taking it.
It's more or less an entry-level position. We don't anticipate that we would be able to recruit off the street somebody with extensive experience in Public Records Act or Board of Equalization. Those are specialized skills that have to be trained. So we're more looking for somebody with the right aptitude to learn those software programs that they'll be using, processes that they'll be doing. Karen and Sherry will be providing most of the training on those systems, and then we would anticipate that person would be learning the One Solution product as well to help process invoices that come through the office.
Do you think you can find anybody for $19,000 full time?
We're hopeful.
Okay.
That's what I asked Keith the other day. Where are you going to find this Wonder Woman?
Yeah. Okay, well, I move that we accept the additional help for the Commissioner's Office and Administration.
Second. All in favor?
All right.
The next item is just getting some additional discussion, input for Carly and I with respect to discussions we've had in the past about a countywide updating of our job descriptions and salary survey. It's been a number of years since the Hay study was done. We have found over time some challenges and problems with continuing to administer that payroll system, or that payroll policy, and we believe it's time to reconsider that. Carly's put together a proposal that would engage the services of a consultant to help us do that. And we just want to make sure that you, the board, are comfortable with what we're doing and support that. And if we continue to have that support, we will move forward with bringing a contract to the board for your approval. I know Commissioner Cook and I have talked a little bit about some work that a firm did for another organization. We've looked at that. That certainly is a viable option. Looking at it, the cost per position of what they charged, the proposal that Carly put together is actually less expensive on a per position basis than what was done there. But we don't have a preconceived
I just know that other organization had gone through that, or we're actually going to meet on it tomorrow. So it was just a thought, just another.
Yeah, there are different firms that have that provide that service and have varying degrees of differences in the approach that they take. I don't find any fault or disagreement with the approach that they're taking. It's just that we were looking at it as we have some experience with an individual that we believe would provide that service, and also
It isn't the A group.
No, it's not the A group, and feel like it would be a less expensive but still complete solution for what we're looking for. But what the public should understand, or what our employees should understand, is that we want to consider every position in the county, look at their job description to make sure that their written job description matches what they actually do, and what they actually do is included in their written job description. We find some people that are working outside of the scope of their described position. And in terms of fairness, we want to make sure that we're compensating people appropriately. and take a look at matching up their work with what's documented, so that we're treating our employees fairly.
I look forward to some proposals.
Carter, do you have any specific questions that the board could? Are you okay with?
I think I'm okay as long as that there's no outstanding questions from the board, so I can move forward and bring in contracts and get moving.
I would say, go ahead.
Well, I know Commissioner Peck asked for this a couple months ago, so I would agree that we should probably move forward on this project.
That concludes the public business that I have. I do have a request for an executive session under RCW 42.30.1101I to discuss litigation or potential litigation. I would ask that Sheriff Raymond be allowed to participate in that discussion.
Okay.
Probably 10 minutes, up to 15. Let's go up to 15 minutes.
Is there any actions after?
No, there'll be no action taken on that.
And well, why don't we finish up with the board then, and then go into that?
That'd be fine.
Okay. So I would. Kyle is here, and I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to him, but I'd like to talk to him a little bit about a meeting yesterday before we send him home. Please. Morning.
Good morning, Kyle.
I was over at Benton County's meeting yesterday, and I think we'd had a conversation about, since the meeting last week, since the board had instructed me to move forward with a by-county agreement with Mr. Weaver for consultation services for developing what the mental health delivery system looks like moving towards 2020. Earlier in the week, I'd had a conversation with Commissioner Delvin. Apparently, at the end of last week, he had been contacted by Lane Savage, who is, I'm not sure what his job title, I think he's the CEO of Cadillac. And they had suggested being part of this process, thought that it might take some pressure off of the counties with regard to contracting. It was my understanding, I haven't spoken with Mr. Savage, but it's my understanding that they would like to work in coordination with both Mr. Weaver and Mr. Evans from Bexar County, and develop a plan to move forward and present to the commissioners, both boards of commissioners, what their recommendation was. Part of the meeting yesterday, Commissioner Delvin had indicated that he had hoped to have representatives from the hospitals and Mr. Weaver next Tuesday at Benton County's board meeting to describe what that process would look like, and he had at that point he would request that they do the same for Franklin County. I spoke with Mr. Weaver this morning, actually on the way over to this meeting. He indicated that he would be, as far as he is concerned, he would be happy to work with Cadillac. He would be happy to come to Franklin County's meeting at whenever the board felt they would like to have that, and explain what that process would look like. And so he'll be at next Tuesday's Benton County board meeting.
I had met with Jerome and Delvin. We had met with the hospital boards, and only two of them showed up because of Trios was having an interim CO at the time.
Right.
And he wasn't there that day. But they did speak of this a little bit, and they wanted to be a part of it. I know that. And I think that's good, because I think what's going on here, a lot of this professional skill stuff that really commissioners don't really know this stuff. It would be great to have people that do on this board. And the providers beneath there also could work with them. I did have a phone call. I've talked to you since from Leon Evans. He did call, and he could come May 10th. I told him the situation, that we did this plan, and it's going to be before the contract's done, 6 weeks or so, and then I'm sure we're going to reach out to him later. And because really Benton County's been going along with the fact of getting Leon down here for community support or discussion.
Right.
And I think that's a great program. So to me, all the pieces are starting to fit in now. And I also called Sedgwick County in Wichita and talked to the lady there and asked, how did they get Leon to these places without liability? And what they did is they had him as a keynote speaker. Okay. He was a keynote speaker, and NAMI actually is the one who had the it was called it was a meeting, a community meeting, and they had him there as a keynote speaker so he could talk to people. And Justin, he also visited all the groups and talked with them. So it is possible. It's not done yet, I know that, and that Leon will still come here. And I think this is the best of the world to have both, have Weaver work on it, and so I think this is moving in the right direction. I feel really good about it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, any concerns that the county's had with regard to contracting issues, I think a lot of that is mitigated with Cadillac stepping in and kind of taking that lead. My understanding, again, I haven't spoken with Mr. Savage, but what Commissioner Delvin had indicated is that Cadillac was willing to pay for the consultation fees, so that the contract, I believe, would be with them. Again, yep. I would need to verify that.
Yeah.
I haven't had a conversation with him, but that's what Commissioner Delvin had indicated yesterday, and I think the hope was to have all three of the hospitals involved with this. They all have a vested interest in it as well. So
wonderful. I think that's great.
Great. Thanks for coming by this morning with that update, and looking forward to.
You bet, and would and I'll be at a Benton County's meeting next week. Would you like me to talk with them about coming to Franklin County's future Franklin County meeting?
Yes.
To present essentially the same thing they present to Benton County?
I sure would. I'd like to hear everything's going on, because we're part of this still. So yes.
Okay.
And Kyle and I kind of talked a little bit about maybe having a joint meeting, but that may be premature at this point.
Sure.
Let's listen to him first, and then see if we need to go further.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Kyle.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
All right.
Okay, before we go into executive session, we got one more spot for public comment. Any? Morning.
Morning.
Say my name.
Yeah. And you signed in too, right?
I think I did.
Okay, I hope you do, because it's easy to get the spelling and everything corrected. Thank you.
Please.
Well, I'd like to find out where you guys are at on those, on that speed control out there on that road. It ain't getting no better as the weather heats up.
Also, hope you understand what the Public Works has gone through since January, so there hasn't been any spare time over in that office at all.
You gotta understand also at the same time that it's been years since I've been trying to get this done.
I realize that, but
It always gets shelved behind something else and something else. And I understand the problems you guys are having on the county roads. I do. But still, not to hear anything or have anybody converse with me about something in any way, in any fashion. I don't get that. And so you feel like, hey, you're not a priority right now. We'll get to you when we get to you. But that's like I said, it's been years since I've been coming up in front of you guys. You kind of feel a little bit sheepish coming up here and having to present this problem over and over and over again, because we already know what I'm here for. And it's to control that speed in that neighborhood. That's it. That's it. You guys won't see me here again.
On that issue anyway. On that issue anyway.
Well, it's like when I spoke with you, the Pasco School District had a bus go through there and clocked at 44 miles an hour. A school bus. They yanked him out of there quick.
Well,
You know,
a school bus.
Yeah, school bus. So you can imagine what the passenger cars and the pickups are.
Yeah.
You know, but I just want, I don't want to be put on the back shelf anymore.
Well, like I say, at this particular point, I'm sure that Matt had heard the last time you were in with, and talked with the attorneys at that time that, it's not on the back shelf except for, the spring. There's just not been I got some stuff I've been trying to work on for a couple of years too out of that office, but it just, like, I'm with you. It seems like every time there's something else that comes up ahead of you, and so.
Well, this was a bad winter. It's exceptionally real bad for the roads out there. And I do understand that point, that you got to pay attention to them first. I understand that point. I do. But I guess when I show up, I'd like a little bit of answer, something. Hell, you have to like you. Go ahead. If you like you, it don't matter.
Yeah.
All right.
But one thing, like I said, I ain't going to give up on this because there's a problem. And when the sheriff stands up and you ask him, is there a problem? And he answers that.
Yep.
Yes, there is a problem out there. Then we got a problem.
But since you were here last time, it is correct. We had a lot happen, but you're right. We need to move on this. And again, things seem to go slow in this business, but there's a lot.
Especially since their surveys are already out there.
That's good. Then that's a
The
start.
renderings that you guys asked for from me,
Yep.
I gave them to y'all.
Yep.
And so, anyway,
Okay.
I appreciate your morning.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Now we lost our rest of the group.
Well, I can fill in with a few activities.
Any other public comment?
I can fill in with some activities I've been doing the last week and meetings. Since last Wednesday, had a TRIDEC. I'm a chairman of the Ag Committee and invited Nick I can't say his name now. Nogovich. Anyway, he's the Port of Kennewick president this year. Skip. Yep, Skip. And he talked. You said it. Good. Thank you. He. And when I introduced him, I said it perfectly right. But anyway, just gave a description of what's going on down there on the riverbank, the wineries and things they're going to have there. It's quite interesting. Next month, I'm going to have a guy from the Potato Commission come and talk about the trade issues and the concerns with NAFTA and certain things like this. There's a couple more, but I see we got everybody back, and maybe we better get busy.
I think so.
Yeah, okay. Okay, perfect.
To our executive session.
Actually, Commissioner, if I may interrupt, we're not going to need an executive session after all.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think we meet the legal requirements for executive session, and so we're not going to need that this morning.
Okay.
We can continue on with your agenda or adjourn as.
Yeah. Your agenda is full then?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
What else you have then, Rick?
Well, I did go to ECA, which is Energy Community Alliance, and one of the big issues we have there is a waste definition. That's at Hanford situation. It's a group we're in with Hanford, and the waste definition now currently is where it comes from, the waste, to take it down to Texas or something, and they were changing that to be, and this is not us changing it, this is what we're trying to get Washington DC to change, is to get the definition to what's in that waste, the chemical that's in the waste, to have that come, because right now there's a lot of politics played in this thing, talking about down in Texas and Nevada for storage of waste. Also, I spoke about Leon Evans, and I went to Columbia River Treaty. That thing seems to almost be kind of falling through. Believe it or not, since Donald Trump has become president, Canada's kind of backing off and wanting to work with us on that. And that was the message. Now, we have another meeting next week, the Columbia River Treaty, so...
That's what I've been checking up on the Canadian side, just kind of wait and see what's going on
Yes.
with the president.
Yeah.
Because I'm not real happy with some of the stuff they've seen.
Yep. And that does most of the majors. I did meet with somebody, which I was hoping Public Works is here. They complained about some trees that looked like they got sprayed too close. Last night I did have a discussion with somebody, and I don't think it's a problem, but that's some of the issues.
I guess I was over at LSC, and I didn't get over to, WASAC had the newly elected official orientation last Wednesday, and then reception with all the legislators Wednesday night, and LSC Thursday morning. Well, Thursday morning, actually the governor came in and spoke with us. I've been on the LSC for probably 11 of the last 12 years, and first time ever the governor came in and spoke to us. And, it was kind of his opening remarks, and then went into a kind of a round table with his questions and thoughts, and of course, we put him on the spot, and everything was fine and dandy, so just have to see what the end of this last couple of weeks of legislation does. Other than that, I have nothing else for the good of the board.
Okay.
Karen? Anybody? We are adjourned. Thank you.